The 9 Years Podcast.
All right, everybody, it's Thursday, 17th of September, and we are back once again with anywhere between 25 and 50 minutes of AFC Wimbledon chat. Coming up on today's show, we have a Jeremy Corbyn amount of this.
It depends how big your pizza is, Stu.
And a Tom Watson amount of this. Oh! My name is Nick Draper, and I'm joined on this week's edition of the 9 Years Podcast by Stuart Deacons, who is going to kick off this week's show with the return of a favourite podcast feature. Yes, it is time for Motorway Service Station News. And Stu, what can you update us with from the road trip to Yeovil?
This is a bit worrying that this is becoming a little bit of a favourite, because I got so much grief on Saturday for motorway services. But the funny thing was, actually, because we had Yeovil, which is in a different part of the country, we went to a different service station, Nick, didn't we?
We did. Oh, it's exciting. Oh.
We did. We went to Fleet, which, for those of you, Fleet is not really exciting. But, hey, it was the only one we could stop at on the way to Yeovil, because once you got past Fleet, we basically just turned into roads of A roads and loads of tractors and combine harvesters.
Great. So let's just take account of how long it's been into this week's show before Stu said something offensive to a member of the population.
Hey, we saw Stonehenge, didn't we? So anyone who's seen Stonehenge, I don't know why I've not finished it off yet, but it's a great bit of architecture.
Yeah, when it's done, it'll be great.
I don't know how many people crack that joke, and of course I have to be one of those because that's my stupid sense of humour. But motorway was good. Yeah, motorway was good, wasn't it? Services. They did have a Greggs.
The motorway was nothing particularly special. It was just a motorway. The journey wasn't bad.
They did have a Greggs. They were building something which we thought might be a Greggs. I know.
It could have been a Greggs.
Yeah, I know. We're quite lucky. We sit on the media team on the way to games, and Chris Lavin was very much like, Greggs, and it was quickly disappointed that it wasn't Greggs. But
no, I was excited about Greggs because you did actually say a couple of weeks ago on this show that they'd got a contract with all the motorway service stations, and yet Fleet did not have a Greggs.
They're not a proper service station.
They did, however, have a great food outlet called Tost, which
they did, didn't they?
Yeah, the woman serving behind the counter there wasn't impressed with my questions about what she was offering. But never mind. Right. This is a family show. Let's move on. Okay, let's just, before we carry on actually talking about the Yeovil game, let me just make sure we know what we're doing this week. So this week we are going to be talking to Mark Davis of the Don's Trust Board regarding the upcoming stadium votes as part of the Back in 2 Ticks campaign. We'll also be joined by Gary Saxby at the end of the show to chat about our bets over the past week and what to look out for this coming Saturday. If you have any comments or you want to have your say on anything we talk about on this week's show, please remember you can do so by tweeting us at 9YRS Podcast or message us on facebook.com/9YRS Podcast. And I do notice, Stu, and I can't believe I've not said this before, but this is the 9 Years Podcast, but in everything I've written down everywhere, it's 9YRS, which doesn't quite really work, does it? But never mind.
Oh, well, you live and learn, don't
you? Well, I certainly live. Right. Yeovil then. Okay, so Yeovil, let's just update the listeners. So, Stu, you took your place on the terrace behind the goal, the away terrace, the open terrace.
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to have a press pass for the day on South London Press duties, so I was down the side in their luxurious press box in Yeovil. When I say luxurious, they had a chair. But, no, to be fair, they looked after us very well down there. They were very, very friendly and very welcoming and very, very helpful. Less helpful on the pitch, though. They gave us a few problems in the first half, but by the end of it, I think we really should have won that game, shouldn't we?
Yeah, Yeovil was a nice place, though, to be fair, wasn't it? Once you get there, it was lovely. I'm not surprised they looked after you well. To be fair, they looked after our team well, didn't they? First half, we couldn't deal with their emergency forward, who is a centre-half. It's quite funny because during the second half when he went off injured, one of the fans next to me was like, I'm so glad the centre-forward's off. And I went, well, he's never been on, to be fair, because that's an emergency centre-half.
Reserve centre-back.
which didn't really make him feel any better because I think he thought their forward just caused us all sorts of problems and couldn't really deal with it when he realised it was centre half. But he was 6'5", wasn't he? And
he was huge, yeah.
We couldn't deal with him. That was their only outball the whole first half, and it was a great game really for Will, because I think Will Nightingale probably learned a lot from that game, because I've said many times before that Will, if you chuck a ball in the air, Will head it all day long. But it was one of those games where he's probably not going to play against many centre forwards that are taller than him. He still tried to win every ball, when probably experience will give him that know-how of maybe, do you know what, sometimes you can't win the ball, but you can at least maybe work off the scraps, or maybe get a bit physical, those sort of differences. So for Will, it was good. Goal was basic. I looked back at it on Sunday, and it was very much what I thought, that we didn't really screen Shawomni, is it? That's his name, wasn't it?
Yeah, Swomney, yeah.
Swomney, sorry, I'm just giving an extra U on the end of his name. We didn't really deal with it. We should have screened in front of him, but when you look at the goal, Danny Bourman really doesn't. He gets bullied out of it, and then the end gives him a free flick on, and then Bird gets in front and scores. And it's an easy goal. It's avoidable.
It's you just said there, you've used the word basic, and I think you're being very kind. For me, it was I'd use the word shocking. It was but also, to be fair, Stu, as well, I say shocking. This is a recurring issue for us this season. Balls into the box, we are struggling with big time defending wise. We've conceded too many goals, haven't we, from crosses into the box or long throws into the box. Yeah,
I don't know if it's just we don't set up properly. Don't get me wrong, I'm no master technician, but tactician even. But I have managed a few teams and Sunday team level and stuff like that. But I know from my experience with football that if you've got a tall man who can flick a ball on, if you remember back to the days of Marcus Gale and stuff like that, they used to always try and put someone in front of Marcus Gale, because he used to go to near post and do the old near post flick on, and then you'd have like Fashion that running in from the back. But what teams used to try and do was try and screen in front of him, so actually he couldn't jump. And Marcus was always very clever, because what he'd always do, he'd always just give a quick nudge in the back of the defender screening and then get his flick. But I just don't know whether we set up properly. It's a long throw, it comes in from a lot of distance, and if you look at where Shawomni heads the ball, he's literally on the 6-yard area, and it's just too easy. And I don't know whether we set up properly. I don't know whether we switch off, or whether we don't do those basics right. And it's they're cheap goals, because really overall, we should have won the game comfortably on Saturday.
Well, we did have enough chances by the end of it. We can go through all the individual chances and stuff like that, but I think we all know, especially if you were there, in the first 5 minutes we had 3 great chances. We could have had the game won in the first 5 minutes, realistically. We also hit the bar with Paul Robinson header. Jake Reeves went on a great run and produced a fantastic shot which hit the inside of the post and out. But we got our point in the end. We're still unbeaten away from home. It's not the end of the world. We should have won the game. But I mentioned there a player that I think, when I ask you for your star of the week this week, that you might be in your thinking.
Oh, yeah. Jake Reeves, he was absolutely quality on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think, and I will claim this one, I've been saying this for a couple of weeks for this podcast. And you know what I'm going to say, but podcast-wise, I've said this for a couple of weeks. Jake is the player that will always go and get the ball. Yes, he can frustrate fans because he loses that ball, but in that role really that he has to be creative. And it just feels like at the moment as if something's clicking with Jake at the moment, as if he's actually believing that he can join in. I don't know whether we gave him... I'm wondering actually with Danny Bourman in midfield that it gave Neil maybe gave him the licence to go, do you know what, go and join in.
Yeah.
Because he was doing a lot of 1-2s. He got into the box. I know a few people mentioned that his shooting wasn't up to speed. I would dispute that, because if you look at the shot he had on the first half... Yeah,
couldn't get much closer than that, can you?
It was just brilliant, wasn't it? And I think for us to be successful this year, what I mean by successful is probably getting, aiming to look at a playoff place, get on that sort of side of it. We need Jake Reeves to be on the form that he was, and he was outstanding on Saturday.
I take your point. He looked like he had that air of confidence about him that he was the one that was going to take this game by the scruff of the neck and start dictating it, and that's what he did. I can't really say much more than that. Okay, one player that wasn't as good on Saturday for you.
Joe, I probably would go with, and it was very difficult because on the reflection, I don't think we played bad. I couldn't really pinpoint anybody that had a bad game. I just felt George Frankham delivery on set pieces. I don't know whether it's a case that we just don't. I know I'll just probably contradict myself there because he scored from the corner, but I just figure his set play on Saturday wasn't great. I felt we beat his man. He had a poor free kick that we didn't get on target. So it's not really to say he needs to worry about his position, but I just didn't think we got the delivery and that we needed off George on Saturday.
Great, thanks very much, Stu, and let's move on. Okay, so a few weeks ago, the Dons Trust launched the Back Into Ticks campaign. The campaign to promote awareness of getting Dons Trust members involved in a couple of very important votes coming up to ensure that the club can meet and have the ability to reach one of its stated aims, which is to return to playing home games in a stadium in Merton. This is a very, very important time for the club. And I know we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago with Paul Raymond, but we thought we'd speak to the Dons Trust board themselves to ask them a few questions about it. And again, just give us a chance to promote and highlight how important it is for Dons Trust members to get involved in these votes. So we've invited Mark Davis along from the Dons Trust board. And Mark, I'm gonna go straight in if you don't mind. Just can you just clarify for us why do we need 2 votes? I believe it's because we have a restrictive action in moving stadiums, and we need 2 votes. Can you explain the ins and outs of this?
Okay, so some years ago there was an offer to buy AFC Wimbledon, which the board turned down, but that exposed the issue to people that potentially the board could have, in theory, said, yes, why don't you buy AFC Wimbledon from us, which clearly would have sold the club from under people's feet. So they introduced this thing called restricted actions, which said that for certain category of decisions that fundamentally affect the nature and identity and existence of the club, particular procedures are required for members to vote on. And the more serious the decision, the higher the level of threshold of voting that applies. So for selling Kings Meadow, the arrangement that was brought in is that's the highest tier of decision, and that requires 2 votes within a month of each other, with a very high level of participation and a very high level of approval by members for that to happen.
So when you say high level, what are our exact numbers? How many do we need to turn up for each vote, and what majority vote do we need to pass? Okay,
so each stage a turnout of 50% of the entire membership, adult membership that is required. Mm-hmm. At the first stage, you have to have 75% of the votes cast have to be in favour, and also 40% of the eligible membership, of the total membership, need to be in favour. So let's say, for example, we've actually got a bit more than 2,000, but let's call it we've got 2,000 members. Yeah. That means we have to get a turnout of at least 1,000. Mm-hmm. We have to get, if 1,000 people turn out, then actually 80% would have to be in favour, because you've got 75%, but actually you've got 40% of the 2,000 members who have to be in favour. Okay. And then for the second round, don't ask me why it's so complicated, but for the second round, it's still the 50% turnout, and 2/3 of those who vote need to be in favour.
Okay, so am I right in saying, I think we spoke back to Paul Raymond, the 2 votes, essentially they are the same, we're having the same vote, we're just having it twice to make sure that we actually have the right, that we're happy that the action can proceed?
Yeah, there'll be identical motions. It's a bit like a cooling off period when you buy double glazing or something, you know. So the thinking is that people didn't just go mad once. They went away, thought about it again, got the opportunity to vote again, and voted twice.
Just let me say, hi, Mark. Thank you. Let me just apologise for Nick's manners. Thank you very much for joining us today on our podcast.
Make me look bad.
My pleasure.
Make me look bad.
That's okay, Nick. I do try if I can do.
I did actually say thank you off microphone. Can I just point out at this point?
But no, we really do appreciate it, because we do appreciate, obviously there's probably a lot going into this month. Question-wise, obviously I realise I need to vote twice, but if I can only maybe turn up to one of the meetings, can I do my vote by post and attend one of the meetings and so forth?
So if I just describe the meetings to you, we've got a couple of meetings coming up later this month, which is just to tell people about the proposals. So 22nd of September at Kingsmeadow, 24th of September at United Reformed Church, Trinity United Reformed Church, Wimbledon. People can just come along and hear what this is all about, and then we'll launch the votes. Each vote will culminate in an SGM, a meeting, but actually you don't have to turn up to either meeting to cast your vote. You can cast your vote. Those people who receive their communications by email can do it online. Those people who receive communications by mail can return us a proxy form by mail. And actually, it really, really makes a difference to us for people to vote early. And the reason for that is that, two reasons. First of all, if everyone turns up at the SGMs at the end of October and November, that will be just a huge number of people to deal with. But actually, people who haven't voted, we're going to need to get towards the end of that voting period. We're going to need to be manning the phones saying, "Oi, you haven't voted yet. Please vote. Why haven't you voted?" So that's going to be quite a major exercise. And the quicker people vote, the less of a sweat that will be waiting to see whether people vote.
So really, with this, then, Mike, you're saying the Don's Trust Board are going to be obviously quite proactive in making sure people have not. It's obviously hard to believe that people haven't heard the message, because the promotion has been really good. But I suppose you're saying the Don's Trust Board are going to be quite proactive in making sure people do get involved with this one.
We're going to have to be. I mean, the threshold for turnout is high, and I think we've gone through the steps to make sure people are aware of it. But still, does everyone understand that they have to vote twice? Hopefully they do. But we are going to have to be proactive. So actually, we say to people, the earlier you vote, the better it is, because then we can focus our efforts on those who haven't yet voted because they might not be aware of it. Voting online or by mail doesn't stop people coming along to the SGMs if they want to. So nothing to be lost by voting online or post and doing it early.
So, Mark, if we're looking at getting 50% turnout for these two votes, I'm not expecting you to have like precise numbers or anything, but from your experience on the Don's Trust Board, when it comes to voting matters or let's just say meeting attendances, what percentage of our membership do you think are engaged on those lines with current issues or previous votes that we've had? Maybe I'll take elections for an example.
So I'm trying to remember the numbers of voters at election, but the typical turnout in our vote for board elections would not satisfy the quorum for voting. I think those are typically 600-700. I may be wrong, but I don't think I'm vastly wrong. Or maybe 800. But somewhere to the 40% or something like that.
Okay.
So
that's actually better. If I'm being honest, that's actually better than I actually thought in my head. For some reason, I thought it was a lot lower than that. So we're actually, at the moment, that's not too far off where we perhaps need to be for these two votes, is it?
Not too far off, but at the same time, your average vote for the Don's Trust turnout would not satisfy the quorum, and we have to get across the message to people. You've got to do this not once but twice. So that's why we are going to such lengths to make sure people are aware of it.
Yeah. Can I ask you then, so how long is the window of voting then? So you say the first vote's around the end of October. Are we looking about a 2-week period, a month period?
So I mentioned the meetings on the 22nd and 24th September. As soon as those are out of the way, the following Monday, which I think is the 28th, we'll send out voting packs. And that will be open for people online and by mail until the 20th of October, and then the SGM on the 22nd of October. Then just a few days after that, I think it's the 26th of October, we'll send out the second lot of voting papers, and that will be open online and by mail till the 14th of November, and there'll be an SGM on the 16th of November. So we have to do the second vote within 1 month of the first vote. So the first one concludes on the 22nd of October, the second one concludes on the 16th of November.
Brilliant. Okay. So could I ask then, just in case, for whatever reason, we were not to get a vote in favour of selling Kingsmeadow, returning to Merton, is it a vote that we can repeat, or do we have to have a calling off period of such and such before we can try again? It is one of the stated aims of AFC Wimbledon to return to Merton, and as ridiculous as it might sound, there is actually no guarantee that perhaps we will get the numbers we need.
Well, I think we will. We're just being prudent. We make sure we publicise it enough. So I am confident that we are going to get this turnout. We're just having to leave no stone unturned in getting people to pay attention to it. In theory, if people didn't turn out in sufficient numbers or give the result we need, in theory we can repeat it again. I don't think there's a cooling off period in the Constitution after that, but in reality there are two constraints on that. We do have a drop dead date for getting this deal done. I can't reveal exactly what that is, but there is a date in 2016, not very late in 2016, where if the deal isn't done, it will go away. And secondly, so we'd need to get on with it very, very quickly. And in terms of getting the turnout and getting etc., if we did it, for instance, over Christmas, we think we'd just get completely lost with in Christmas and people going away and whatever. So I think people have to look at this as though it's one shot at it, because if we don't get it the first time, that will be very difficult to get it through within the time we need.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. One thing I was going to say, and I've said in the podcast recently, that the actual slogan for this has been quite. I've been really impressed with it. Like the back in 2 ticks. First time I saw it, I was like, "Wow, that's such a great slogan!" And sort of gets the message across really well in people that, like you just said, might not think, "Why am I voting twice?" Can I be so cheeky to ask who came up with the slogan?
So I'd love to tell you I did, but I didn't. So just to step back a bit, we have a sort of a group that has been working on this whole campaign. So sort of I've been leading on the strategy side of that, but we've also had a creative team working on it. And we, the strategy group, came up with some really fantastically sexy straplines, such as cast your proxy twice in order to increase our chances of returning to Merton one day. Something like that. I can't remember what it was. And David Lloyd, who's helping us with communications, said, no, we should get the creative team to look at this. And I sort of said, well, how could they ever come up with anything better than cast your proxy twice, etc. So I was a bit cynical. But we gave it to them. And then one day I got home from work and I opened my email, and there's an email from Charlie Talbot with the strapline and logo attached, and my jaw nearly hit the desk because I just thought it was brilliant. And I'm really glad to hear you say that, Stuart, actually, because funny enough, when you look at the guest books and things like that, I haven't seen any acknowledgement from anyone about that strapline and slogan, and I think they're both completely brilliant. And I can say that because it wasn't my idea.
No, definitely, it is a. I mean, it sums it up absolutely perfectly. And what a great, just what a great phrase to put, promote our campaign with. So, Charlie Talbot, take a bow.
It wasn't Charlie, actually. It was Charlie who sent it back to me, but it was a group of them, and I have a hunch that it was Graham Stacey who actually came up with Back in 2 Ticks, and of course the 2 Ticks design artwork was Mark Jones. So, but they worked as a team, so probably shouldn't single them out. I'm sure a lot of hours was spent working out what that was.
Yeah, I think some of the names you mentioned there, Mark Jones, Graham Stacey, all involved formally with the club in the media communications side, starting back in the days of Yellow and Blue and through to the matchday programmes after that. So just shows you the talent we've got in our fan base, really. Right, last question then, Mark, if I may.
Okay.
Thank you very much for shedding us all the light and telling us what we need to know. And I know there's information that has been sent out this week in regards to the move. So Don's Trust members should be searching for that in their inboxes this week. But I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions, if I may, about, as we've got you on, about your time supporting Wimbledon, as we do with all our guests. First of all, can you remember your first Wimbledon game?
I can. So I came to the course pretty late in life, and I moved to this area in the 1990s, and I started following the club in the mid-90s, and the first game I went to was just a minor matter of knocking Manchester United out of the fourth round FA Cup replay in 1997.
Marcus Gale. That was a Marcus Gale header at the...
It was.
I say the home end. What end was that called? That was like the new...
It was the Holmesdale Road end, wasn't it?
That's
it was the Holmesdale Road end. But funnily enough, I remember that less than the very end of the game when... Man U had a corner and Schmeichel went up for the goal and put it in, but was disallowed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought I thought it was brilliant. And I, if I'm ever in charge of the laws of the game, I'm going to have a requirement that in the last 2 minutes, if there's a corner, the goalkeeper has to go up.
Sounds good to me.
It sounds good. It worked for us against York in the Cup last season to great effect. So, yeah, definitely. I'd love to see that myself. Next question then. How long have you been on the Don's Trust board now?
So I'm coming up to the end of my second year, so I have to be re-elected. I was previously, some years ago, the secretary of the trust, and I was very briefly actually on the board at that stage when I was secretary, but this is my first elected term.
Okay, great, thank you. And last one, and the most important one, the question we all need answering. Who do you think would win in a fight between founder members of the Don's Trust, Carl Leaburn and Terry Eames?
Right. Well, I think that as long... I guess if Terry Eames was wearing a Palace shirt, then Carl Leaburn would do the job.
Probably do it twice.
Otherwise, I think he'd just soften it up and leave it for somebody else like Dean Holdsworth to finish him off.
The thing is, Carl Leaburn... All I remember Carl Leaburn is smiling like a massive grin after he scored them 2 goals against Palace. I don't know if he was smiling or he was just thinking, how did I get the goals? But Carl just seems too nice to me. I don't know if he would.
No, Carl does. He was too nice, wasn't he? He was a gentle giant.
Yeah.
But forever a legend for that day at Selhurst Park. Right, Mark, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure.
Is there any way you'd just like to promote, any way that if anyone has any questions about the Back in 2 Ticks and the 2 votes, how they can get them answered?
So I would leave you 2 thoughts. First of all, do read the documents we sent out. We are going to come along to the meetings on the 22nd and 24th. We do have an email address, stadiumquestions@thedonstrust.org. People can email in questions. We'll get back to them, but we're also going to publish online on the Don's Trust website a frequently asked questions document, which will update as the process goes along. My final thought, which is slightly off topic, is that we have a mini-thon coming up on the 18th of October in Morden Park, and I urge everyone listening to take part. 5 kilometres in aid of the Trust and also the Foundation.
Do you know what, Mark? Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I probably might have to take part in that now. When did you say again? 18th of October?
18th of October, and all the details are on www.thedonstrust.org.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think I might just stitch myself up there, but thank you once again, Mark, for your time.
Pleasure.
No, that was great, Mark. Thank you very, very much. Right, Stu, I think it's time for the world-famous birthday game. And we got a theme tune this week, Stu. What do you think? What do you reckon to this lovely little bit of background music we've now got?
It sounds like I'm on some sort of cruise ship, some sort of themed evening, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I suppose it takes away the people listening to me getting things wrong on the birthday game, I suppose. So let's have something else to laugh at.
I think it works, Stu. I'm a fan. But I've never been on a cruise ship, so I wouldn't know. But I'll take your word for it.
Well, what we can do, maybe our listeners can, not so much vote, because that means you have to put a vote section on here, but maybe they can feed back into us what they think, or if we should use it or bin it.
The problem with that is, Stu, is that the music for the show, to determine what music we use, it's actually a restricted action. So we're going to have 2 votes to sort of say yes or no.
Oh dear, I knew it was a bad idea getting a Don's Trust board on it.
Everything on this show is now subject to...
to 2 ticks.
To 2 ticks, yes. Back in 2 ticks for the birthday game theme tune, right. The good thing is the music is taking also away the shine from... Well, taking the shine away? That doesn't even make sense. I'm just saying words for the sake of saying words. It's taking the focus away from how poor the selection of birthdays is this week, okay? So I'm just going to... I'm going to read you 3, one of which isn't even a birthday. Right.
Lovely.
This is going to be... Oh, this is top quality audio. Anyway, right. First one then, Stu. How would you reckon musician Moby turned this past week?
Moby?
Yes, Moby.
What is that? You say that's who's that? A musician?
You've heard of Moby, surely?
I'm joking, yeah.
Jeez, don't do that to me.
I think I have.
He's the guy that writes all those jingles for those TV adverts.
Oh, I don't know. Wow, that's a random one to start off with.
They're all random today.
I don't know if I've got any logic on this one, so let me just think. Birthdays-ish. Let's go for something like 32.
Okay. It's a shame you're not playing against someone this week, actually, because they'd have murdered you, I think, with this one. He's 50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, big 5-0.
I don't know where my logic was on that one, because I suppose...
I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that name for a little while, so maybe if I've heard it for a little while, it means they've probably been around for a little while, which means they're older than 32, unless they started at 10. But
It must have been around the late 90s, early turn of the millennium, I think, when he had his big success with all those, with that... Was it Play, his album? Anyway, okay. So yeah, Moby, happy birthday, Moby, you big weirdo. Right, next one, Richard Ashcroft of the Verve fame.
Oh, well, these are all the bands that I love, of course. So
I know you love the Verve.
I'm now struggling. Oh, man. You've done me this week, didn't you? Let's have a look. Well, not
best is yet to come, Stuart, trust me.
He must be in his 40s, late. I go 45.
Oh, you've redeemed yourself with that one. He's 44.
Come on.
Just a 1 year out. So
that's all right.
I'm impressed with that one. That's good. Yeah. The Verve, obviously.
I'm getting better, aren't I?
You are, well, I don't know. No, I'm just going to ignore Moby, it just happened. But I'm just going to say hello to my brother at this point and say the Verve, of course, responsible for the ITV theme tune for all the England games, which he is such a big fan of. And last one, as I said, it's not even a birthday, but a big congratulations to Mirror readers. These are all from the Daily Mirror newspaper, of course. Elizabeth and Graham Soden. And which wedding anniversary did they celebrate last week, Stu?
Well, we're scraping the barrel now. We're going for wedding anniversaries, aren't we? I don't know, really. Why would you celebrate your wedding? That's the thing.
Brilliant.
I don't know.
How long ago? How long ago did you get engaged, Stu?
I got engaged at Christmas last year, but of course that's different. That's obviously, I don't know why you want to celebrate birthdays. My sister just celebrated her 25th wedding anniversary, and I said, "Is that his own thing?" I don't know if the gentleman actually wants to celebrate it or remember it, but yeah.
Yeah, keep talking.
Of course, my sister listens. I do apologise. I loved it. I reckon it's probably one of those special ones. I don't know what they call them. What's the one for, like, say, I don't know, 50 years?
Well, I think that is the golden wedding anniversary. Is it not? 50 years is golden wedding anniversary, isn't it?
Yeah, they have like different names for them, don't they? Like gold, like gold tin, and I don't know what you call.
Gold tin.
Yeah, they call like different, like, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 and stuff like that. Different phrases.
They have, like, ruby, sapphire, whatever. I don't really know. I've never been married, so I don't know. But are you going to go for golden?
I'm going for 50th. Yeah.
Yes. Well done. It was indeed their 50th golden wedding anniversary last week. So congratulations, Elizabeth and Graham. And never mind, eh? But anyway, well done, Stu.
Yeah,
big success this week. Great tune. We can now play out that and introduce Gary Saxby. You're right, Gary. How are things?
Hi guys. I hope you're both well. Yep, all good. All good this end. Thank you.
You're back with us this week to discuss our bets from last week and give us some tips on what we can expect from this weekend. And let's get straight to this. Last week, I bet my £1 on Northampton to beat Oxford. So how much money do I have in my account now?
You are now plus £1.43.
So does that...
I congratulate you for 1 in 1. That's 100%.
Thank you. Does that mean that I got my stake back? So my bet was actually only worth 43p.
It's only profit we're going by.
So. Oh, okay. That's not too bad then. So if I lose my £1 this week,
yes,
I'll be on 43p.
Correct.
Okay, right. I'm with it. Okay, good. Right. So how did you guys get on then with your respective bets? Stu, you went for Carlisle to beat Dagenham and Portsmouth to beat Barnet. Is that right?
I did. They both come in, surprisingly.
So also Stu's 100%. So he's £2 up.
Oh, come on.
And what about you, Gary? I can't remember. You went for Portsmouth as well, but I can't remember what your other one was.
Yes, I went to Portsmouth and Leyton Orient. And obviously Cambridge drew 1-1 against them. So I minus £1.
So did you lose, Gal?
Our expert is...
I think it's called a marathon, not a sprint.
The famous saying's coming out already.
So are you actually on minus £1?
That's correct.
So I'm actually £2.43 better off than you?
Yes, and Stu's £3 better off than me.
Wow. I didn't see that coming. Oh, right, good. I like this game. I'm enjoying it. Right.
Can we get on to our choices of what the score was going to be against Yeovil by any chance?
I might just give us 1 second. So let me just get this right. So you're our betting expert, and if we were to do a league table of the three of us, you would currently be pretty much, you are the Chelsea of this little mini league at the moment.
Yes, yeah. Sadly.
Good, great, right, fantastic. Right, this week then, what are we going for? Stu, do you want to go first this week?
Yeah, so I'm going for, and I've got to remember this because I've literally just looked at the league tables. So I'm going for a Luton and... I forgot already. As you can tell this week, we've really done well on the preparation. So I've gone for a Luton home win and a Plymouth home win. So Luton are playing Mansfield and Plymouth are playing Bristol Rovers. So that's going to be a double.
Yeah, that's correct. Stu, if they both come in as a double, that'd be £3.20 profit.
Cool, I can live with that.
Okay, I'm going to go for then Barnet. I think Barnet will be to beat Stevenage and Leyton Orient to beat Wickham.
Yeah, that's, as I said, a win double. That's £3.60 profit if they are to win.
Sounds good. And
Leyton Orient to beat Wickham.
Yeah, and myself, I've gone for Plymouth and Dagenham and Redbridge, which is the battle of the bottom of the league sides in Dagenham and Redbridge and Newport County. So Dagenham and Redbridge haven't won at home all season, and Newport County haven't won away. So I'm hoping home advantage should see them through. And if they do, that'll be £3.72 profit for me.
Very good. Sounds good. Now, Gary, can you just... Stu spoke to you before the show, didn't he, about his planned bets for this week, didn't he? And
yes.
It's changed, I think. His bets have changed.
Yes, I asked Stuart as a bit of prep for the show, obviously, because we prep for this show.
Well, sometimes.
We don't just do it live. He told me he wanted a Luton and Mansfield win double.
So both Luton and Mansfield...
I then went on to check the fixtures and realised they were playing each other.
Right. So Stu thought that Luton and Mansfield could both win?
Correct.
Well done, Stu.
Well, yeah, as I said at the start of it, I hadn't prepped because on our prep day I just hadn't done it. So I forgot it was playing each other. But Yeah, as Gary rightly so, basically what I wanted to do is make sure Gary was paying attention, and he passed the test.
If you believe that, you believe anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure you saved yourself there, Stu. But
I haven't, have I?
No, never mind. Right,
but he is top of the league out of the three of us at the moment. So.
Top of the league. Top of the league.
That's a worry, isn't it? Right, okay. This weekend then we've got Notts County at home. Who wants to go first on this one?
I'm happy. Oh, yeah, go on, Stu.
No, you go first, Gary. Sorry.
I'll just give you the odds to start off with. Wimbledon are favourites 11-8. These are all with Sky Bet.
Mm-hmm.
Wimbledon are favourites with 11-8. Then you have Notts County at 2-1, and the draw is 12-5. So Wimbledon just slightly favourites in this tie, which will be taking place on Saturday.
And if I was to go for a 2-all, what odds could you give me on a 2-all?
2 correct score would give you 14-1.
Ooh, that's worth a couple.
What about yourself, Stu?
2-2, Nick, you say?
Yes. Like Desmond.
Yeah. I'm always confident, as people will know. I'm going to go for a 3-1 home win. What will they give me?
A 3-1 home win is 28-1, Stu. So it's a big outsider, to be fair with you.
It is. I'm interested, actually. It's interesting to see their favourites. Bearing in mind, Notts County have spent a lot of money in this league. I know they're 18th, aren't they? So I know they've got a game in hand. But that's quite interesting that we're favourites at home.
They've won their last 2 games, though, both home to Mansfield and Luton, though, Stu.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised.
They cheated against Luton. Just saying.
They cheated. What, they scored more goals? Is that cheating now?
They had no. Well, yeah. McLeod scored twice, didn't he? And I don't count McLeod's goals, so in my head, Luton won 2-1.
In all seriousness, I don't know if people have seen the good, and it's probably a good thing actually to say that Channel 5 have really improved their. Well, they could really not improve what they've done the other week, could they? But yeah, on the footage on Channel 5, McLeod looks a right handful, doesn't he?
Worryingly. He does like to score against us, doesn't he?
Yeah, just hopefully someone will take him out. Maybe we could sacrifice Will Nightingale for taking him out and just play with 10 men.
Yeah, maybe not after what happened against Yeovil with Will Nightingale. We don't want to getting 2 players in 2 weeks stretch it off, but cool. Yeah. Right, so Gary, what are you going to go for? What's your tip for Notts County?
After the Yeovil game this week, where I did give the 1-1 draw at 11-2, I have gone through the stats this morning, and I've noticed that in all 14 games which have involved Notts County and Wimbledon this season, there's always been at least over 1.5 goals. So with that, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw again at 11-2.
Another 1-1 draw. Wouldn't that be like our 3rd 1-1 draw in a row if it is?
That would be correct, yes. Wow. It would have been Mansfield, Yeovil, and then Notts County if that was to happen. Wow, not forgetting the Carlisle 1-1 a few games back before that.
Doesn't that scream mid-table for you, Stu?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? 1.5 goals. So basically, it's what we were saying. We can't keep clean sheets, can we? Basic errors. So, yeah,
Notts County, though, Stu.
Yeah, but Notts County, Notts County probably will be one of the front runners. So I think it's probably a good time to play Notts County, to be fair, before they start hitting form. I expect them to be well up there.
I hope it is a good time to play them. But yeah, thank you very much, Gary. Now, I know you have a Twitter handle where you give betting advice on. Do you want to give that a quick plug or any of?
Yeah. If anyone ever wants to ask any questions or anything, I do a wide range. Expertise is a wide range of sport, as Stu would tell you. My Twitter handle is @Gazsax, GAZSAX. I'm always on there. I've got a few thousand followers, should I say, Stu? You like that?
What about the plug? Yeah, to be fair, Gary knows most things about sports, which is quite scary, to be fair. Yeah. I even noticed you actually went on to American football.
Yes, I'm big on American football. I'm actually watching that as we speak.
Isn't Sky now? I know we're going well off topic here, but Sky now are doing like triple headers now through the night, aren't they, on the NFL games now? Yeah,
I watched the Patriots game last Thursday, and that finished at 5 to 5 in the morning, Stu. So straight to work after that.
Commitment.
Sorry, I zoned out there. You're talking about, I don't know whatever that thing is. I don't know what it is.
To be fair, they do call it football.
That's Americans for you.
Well, yeah. Stu was telling me actually he liked it. Stu was talking about this on the coach to Yeovil actually, and he did say that he was a big fan of the American football. I said, okay. I said, what is it exactly about the American football that... Because I don't really get it, if I'm being honest with you. And Stu, what was your answer in one word?
I can't remember now.
No, don't give me that. Be honest. What was your exact word? It begins with a cheer and ends in leaders.
Yeah. No, I think what I was alluding to was that Americans plug sports very well. It's more of an entertainment. Right. And I said that's what we needed. And I said in the conversation, what if we could do something, bring something into football that we don't have? I just said cheerleader.
I would have thought your word would have been linebacker, Stu, because the game I'm watching at the moment, you actually look like half of them.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not, to be fair. I might have a quick check out.
You think about it, mate. You think about that.
Stu could have a career in the NFL, but he's, after his successful career playing for Woodford Town...
And after last week, I've noticed they're sponsored by Pizza Hut, Nick.
Oh, well, Stu, come on, it's meant to be.
Who's sponsored by Pizza Hut?
The NFL.
Really?
Yes.
NFL.
Does the NFL need a sponsor? All that money?
Well, American sponsor
the
everything.
Pizza Hut. What's it called then? The Pizza Hut. They don't call it Premiership, do they, or anything like that?
Not so it's like the NFL sponsored by or in association with Pizza Hut.
Yes.
Wow. That's a big sponsor, isn't it?
That is.
It depends how big your pizza is, Stu.
Right.
I still got into food because that's when I get myself in trouble.
I think we've actually finally found a quote for the start of the show, though, at last. So thank you very much, Gary. Cheers for that. Thanks for your advice. And that brings us to the end of today's show.
Good luck with your bets, guys.
Thank you very much.
You don't mean that at all.
No, he doesn't. But, I've given a bit of grief, but I'll end up bottom of the league this time next week. Never mind. Right, thank you guys for listening. That is the end of today's show. Remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. Updates from Notts County will be available on Dom's Player and on Twitter and Periscope at AFCW Scope with Stu and Paul Raymond. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
And thanks again to Mark Davis for joining us. And again, one last thank you for listening to us. Next week, we'll be talking to Jose Mourinho because, well, really, it's just too funny. We'll see you then.